The Letter Killeth. Written by Christopher Turner, founder and editor-in-chief of Heritage Weekly. Photo courtesy of Heritage Weekly. First, a word from our sponsors. Explore Christopher Turner's books on Kindle for in-depth studies on Israelite heritage and scriptural truths. Like and support to help continue spreading valuable content. Back to your content. All praises to the Most High. The Letter Killeth. Many Christians today claim that Yahawashi Jesus abolished the law, believing his sacrifice freed them from the need to obey Yah's commandments. This belief stems from a misunderstanding of passages like 2 Corinthians 3:6, where Paul says, "The letter killeth but the Spirit giveth life." Many interpret this as a rejection of the entire law, but is that what Paul meant? If the wages of sin is death, as Paul declares in Romans 6:23, and sin is defined as the transgression of the law in 1 John 3:4, then how can the law be done away with? The law remains necessary because it defines sin, and provides the framework for righteousness. Paul's statement about the letter refers specifically to the sacrificial system of the law, which required strict penalties for sin, including the shedding of blood. The sacrificial law, while holy and just, could not bring life because it was never designed to remove sin completely. It only reminded the people of their sinfulness and pointed to a greater solution. The author of Hebrews explains this in clear terms, saying, "For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins." Hebrews 10:4. Instead, these sacrifices foreshadowed Yahawashi's atonement. As Paul states in Romans 8:3-4, "For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son, condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us." Yahawashi became the fulfillment of the sacrificial law, offering himself as the ultimate Passover lamb. As 1 Corinthians 5:7 declares, "For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us." His sacrifice accomplished what the letter of the law, the sacrificial system, could never do: true remission of sins. Hebrews 10:10 confirms, "We are sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all." This fulfillment, however, does not abolish the commandments. Yahawashi himself said, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy but to fulfill." Matthew 5:17. The word fulfill here means to bring to completion, not to abolish. His sacrifice completed the sacrificial law, but Yah's commandments remain intact as the standard for righteous living. The law itself is described as life-giving throughout Scripture. Proverbs 6:23 states, "For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life." Yah's commandments guide his people, showing them how to walk in obedience and avoid sin. Deuteronomy 0:19-20 reinforces this, saying, "I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life, that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him, for he is thy life." The moral law is not a burden but a path to life and blessing. Without it, there is no standard to define sin or righteousness. The misconception that Yahawashi abolished the law often arises from a misinterpretation of Paul's writings. Peter warned about this very issue, saying, "In which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned and unstable wrest, as they do also the other scriptures, unto their own destruction." 2 Peter 3:16. Paul never taught that the law was abolished. Instead, he distinguished between the sacrificial system, which Yahawashi fulfilled, and the moral law, which remains binding. In Romans 3:31, he asks, "Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid, yea, we establish the law." Faith in Yahawashi does not nullify Yah's commandments, it strengthens them by enabling believers to walk in righteousness through the Spirit. The law's eternal relevance is also evident in the prophecies concerning the kingdom. When the temple is rebuilt, sacrifices will resume, not for sin, but as acts of worship, thanksgiving, and covenant remembrance. Ezekiel 5:15-25 describes these offerings in detail, including burnt offerings, grain offerings, and peace offerings. These sacrifices will serve as memorials of Yah's faithfulness, and Yahawashi's completed work. Jeremiah 33:17 confirms this, saying, "Neither shall the priests the Levites want a man before me to offer burnt offerings, and to kindle meat offerings, and to do sacrifice continually." In the kingdom, the law will no longer be written on stone tablets but inscribed on the hearts of Yah's people. Jeremiah 1:33 declares, "I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people." This promise signifies a deep spiritual transformation, where obedience to Yah's commandments becomes a natural outpouring of faith and love. Ezekiel 6:27 echoes this, saying, I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments, and do them. Far from being abolished, the law will be fully embraced in the kingdom. The idea that the law is done away with is not only unbiblical but dangerously misleading. Yahawashi's fulfillment of the sacrificial system frees believers from the penalties of sin, but the commandments themselves remain the foundation of life and righteousness. Yah's law continues to define sin, and guide his people in holiness. As Yahawashi said, If ye love me, keep my commandments. John 14:15. The letter killeth, but through Yahawashi and the Spirit, the law brings life. All praises to the Most High. Written by Christopher Turner, founder and editor-in-chief of Heritage Weekly, pioneering covenant theology researcher, and principal contributor to Rediscovering Israel, focusing on Israelite heritage, covenant theology, and ancient scriptures. Creator of the AIP after Yahawashi's Passover calendar system, a unique biblical timekeeping method based on Yahawashi's death and Passover, aligning with lunar cycles and prophecy, particularly Daniel 9. Author of Jacob's Trouble, The Birth of a King, The Freedom Articles, Prophecy over DNA,